Hi, hey, we're going to walk through and do some of the basic parts we do. In our textbook, there are some isometric drawings we have the kids sketch out, and we're going to have them then model them in Inventor. So we're going to walk through some of that real quick. Every one of these only requires an extrusion. Okay, there's no revolves, no lofts, nothing. I don't even think there is a fillet anywhere. Oh, there are two fillets in this now that I look at it. So, but as we're doing this, it's really pretty easy. We can actually do the holes in it two different ways, but we're going to do them all about the same. Oh, it looks like we got something disconnected. We'll worry about that in a minute. But let's do the first part right now. So first part I'm going to start a sketch. I'm just going to go to my XY plane. I'm going to pan down by pushing my mouse wheel down, holding it and dragging it downward until I move that to the lower left-hand corner of my screen. And I'm simply going to start here. And since there's no dimensions applied to this, I'm just going to draw a line that's, say, 4 inches long this way. Zoom out a little bit, point it straight upward, get it going 90 degrees, type in 2 for the distance. I'm going to bring it over about 3/4 of an inch, down about 1 inch. I'm actually going to use the dimension tool here in a minute so I can explain it. We're just going to throw in a couple of things real quick. Use the constraints that are showing up, the visual constraints like we are, and get that shape just roughed in. So there's my rough shape of my first part. Now, I didn't put a couple of dimensions on it. This dimension right here, so I just use the dimension tool, click on the line, drag it up where I want to place it, click again, type in 0.75, and that should right there be constrained to be the same as that because this is parallel and that is parallel. And I think I constrained it visually to that one, but let's find out. It should tell me it's constrained. Yep, it is. It is constrained because of this issue right here, and we're good to go. There's my first part of my shape. I'm going to tell it to fit on the screen, so zoom all. And we're going to extrude this thing a grand total of 2 inches. So it pops up to default. See my 1 inch in there is highlighted in blue already, so if I just type in 2 and enter, there he is. I'll do zoom all again. Now, I got a couple of different ways I can do this next piece. I can do an extrude cut from here back. I could go to this surface right here and do an extrude cut downward. I could go to the bottom and do extrude cut up. It really doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. I'm going to do it in one go. So I'm going to click on this surface, 2D sketch, pan it up, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'm not even putting dimensions on this. I'm eyeballing. I want to be about in the middle of this guy right here, so I can actually constrain it like that if I want. And I'm just going to eyeball it to about the middle here. There he is. I'm going to put 2 circles on him, one right here. I'm just going to give it a size because I can of 3/8 of an inch or 0.375. And then when I hit the finish sketch here, I can now tell this to extrude cut. So I'm going to tell it extrude, and I'm going to tell it to cut, and I'm going to pick the surface. I want to take that one, I want to take that one, and I want to take this one. It's going to cut the whole thing off, and that's my whole part in one go. If I want to apply material, I can. We'll just do it cast iron. What the heck? That's too dark. Let's go down here and pick one of the steels, just regular steel. That's ugly too. Ugh. There we go. But that's our first part. So let's do another part. So I go back to my home and I hit part. Yeah, this default. Apparently we got one of the libraries disconnected. Click on this one. I'm going to do the second part. Same kind of situation here. I just click and drag, zoom out a little bit maybe, right roll on my mouse wheel. Start here. I'm going to go over this way about 4 inches again. 4, actually not about, exactly 4. I'm going to come up, let's go 1/4 of an inch. What the heck? Come back in this way, about a half. Up this way. Let's see, I did 1/4, so that'd be 1.75 up. Okay. Come back in this way, about 3/8. Bring it down, take it over this way. I'm just going to eyeball some stuff here for a minute. Bring this back like so, bring it down here till it lines up, bring it back over here till it lines up, and then back to my origin. Now, one of the things we need to talk about is I can adjust measurements on the fly. Like if I click on that dimension right there I already got, and tell that to be 0.375, it adjusts the whole thing. This, if I want to change that to be, say, like 0.75, I can adjust it. Now, I'll probably leave this one alone. Now, because this right here is now wrong, I can tell this to be 2 inches minus 0.375, and I can actually enter it right like so, which gets that the right size right there. I can come over to this side, put a dimension here that is a 0.75 here. I can tell this to be a 3/8 as well, 0.375. Okay, so that's all set in there. This dimension now is a default dimension. In fact, it's being driven, as you can tell. So everything I've got there, it works. If I want to put the hole in it right now, there's actually a hole in the front of this part that sits dead center, so I can constrain it to the center of this, bring it down somewhere right there, come up like so. Now we'll make it 5/8 of an inch in diameter. There he is. Okay, I just simply go finish the sketch, tell it to fit on my screen, and then I'll do an extrude and take this whole shape this way 2 full inches. And then the only other thing I've got to do is notch this top down. So to do that, that's not that difficult. I can click on right here, go start a sketch, pull it up, and I can throw in a dimension like so, and tell it that I want it to be from this edge to this edge. Oh, I hit the wrong spot. Let me try that again. From this edge to this edge. There we go, 0.375. Same thing on this side. And then when I hit the finish sketch right here, I can tell it to do an extrude, and I can tell it to do a cut. But this time I'm going to tell it to go down, say about a 1/2 inch. And you go, okay. So there's my second part done. That's really all there is to it. So again, we can apply a material to this. Last time I went and picked some weird stuff. Let's pick something odd. There's some non-alloy steel. Didn't change it much, did it? Let's do the high strength. There, at least we got some polish on it. Ooh, that's ugly. But anyway, so we'll just go with what's there and go to our next part. I would go through all of my parts like this and extrude them up. I'm going to use this next part just because I want to show a couple things in it that's a fillet. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to start the same sketch as before. And I'm going to start with a line that goes from right here straight out this way. And I'm going to go out the normal 4 inches that I've been going. Okay. And then I'm going to go up this way 2 inches. Bring back this way straight on the 4. And back to my origin point right there. Now, I'm going to use a couple of different tools real quick. One is going to be the slot tool. So if I go under a rectangle here, I can use the slot tool. Slot tool allows me to do something like this. I can click here, click over here where I want the slot to end, and then just stretch it out like say so. Okay, there's my slot tool used. Okay, at this point I can use my trim function to remove, say, this piece of this and trim this back so it looks like the object on my drawing. Okay, if I want to, I can use the fillet here and set that fillet to be like, actually, let's back it up, 0.375, and pick this line, and then do the same thing over here between this line and this line. Once I've got that, I can hit my finish sketch. I'm going to tell this to fit on screen, and then when I extrude this 1 inch, actually, let's narrow that. We're only going to go up on this one about 3/4 that, probably half. That looks about right to proportions. And then I can go back on this surface and go start a sketch, draw a rectangle that goes, I want a rectangle this time instead of a slot. It goes from this corner right here, I can snap to it, down here to this corner right here, snap to it like say so. Oops, I went off. Oh well, I'll just put a dimension on it. Finish sketch, extrude. We'll bring that up, let's go about 1/4 inch. Do the next one up here. Sketch, extrude, cut, 0.125. That's roughly it. Now, if I look at my sketch over here, it doesn't quite match up the way I want it to. This line should be in the middle. This should actually be slightly taller. This should still be about that same height there. So to edit this, I can go back to my extrusion here and go right click on it, edit the feature, and tell that extrusion to come up more like another 1/2 inch, which means I can come back to this extrusion right here, edit this feature, and tell it to go 0.1875, or better yet, 275, and end up with what I want right there. Now, if I wanted to, I could have left these square and used the fillet tool right here to make them round, but this does the same thing. Now, this in our drawing should actually be oriented this way to us. So it really doesn't actually matter on my default here, but I'm going to leave it right there. But that's it. There's 3 of the 12 parts we're going to have you model, and I'll just do the others as we get time. Bye.